I acknowledge that I am located on traditional and ancestral territory of the Algonquin peoples. I recognize their long-standing relationship with this land which remains unceded. I pay respect to all Indigenous peoples in this region from all nations across Canada who call Ottawa home. Hello, my name is Georgia Manaseri, and I'm proud to present to you today my reconciliACTION, the Orange Belt Project. My intent for this project is to present what reconciliation means to me, bringing together Indigenous peoples and non-Indigenous peoples and acknowledging and educating the past tragedies of Canada's history, such as residential schools, in order to prevent these such things happening in the future. Combining my joy for knitting that my Algonquin grandmother taught me and getting inspiration from the earliest forms of treaty making existed with the Haudenosaunee and the Dutch in 1613, the two-row wampum belt. I've come up with this project to do in my community. While walking past my house, people will notice an orange belt and code underneath it on my tree. Scanning this code makes a site appear with information on how they can participate in this project, including the DWF website. So what is this project? Well, let me tell you. People will create their own orange belt in their own creativity manner, either by knitting, crocheting, fabric making, or decorations, with materials that they can find around their house, etc. During the making of their orange belt, they are encouraged to educate themselves on Indigenous matter, whether it be through movies, podcasts, or support Indigenous people by listening to their music, which all of these links will be provided to them with the code. My goal is to hopefully spread this project around my community, reinforcing people to educate themselves and show their respect and support for Indigenous peoples in a creative and engaging manner. Thank you for listening.
To me, reconciliation is building relationships, upholding promises, and dismantling systems of oppression that impact Indigenous peoples. This means truly listening with the intention of learning and understanding with an open heart and an open mind. From there, you can take true action. As a settler Canadian like myself, this could include advocacy, education, allyship, practicing cultural humility, and so much more. My idea for my reconciliACTION is the formation of a nature group. The name has not yet been decided, but hopefully the group can come up with that together. It would be for both Indigenous and non-Indigenous people. It would focus on learning more about the Indigenous connection to the land and how we can be more respectful, sustainable, and connected. This could include going on a nature walk, watching videos, movies, listening to speakers, reading novels. The possibilities are endless. The community of interest is my own community of London, Ontario. This would allow for the nature group to have meetings in person. Of course, this type of initiative could be run in any Canadian community that wishes to partake. This could include schools or even workplaces. In addition, this would allow for more diversity, as there can be different knowledge and teachings based on different land types. This would also allow these different groups to come together and share their local knowledge and connections. The proposed materials for this group would depend on what activities take place. For example, if the group was to read a book about Indigenous connection to the land, the proposed materials would be a novel. For example, Braiding Sweetgrass. The group could also do a nature walk in a place like Fanshawe Park, where I am right now. In this case, the proposed materials would be a nature guide. This could aid in learning about local flora and fauna. In addition, the group could look at Indigenous works of art like these. This would allow us to learn more about the Indigenous connection to the land through art. Finally, the group could learn more about planting and growing and how to live off the land. We could consult with and visit the Indigenous Food and Medicine Garden at the University of Western Ontario. We could also use more Hawthorne Farm seeds to continue our journey with planting and growing. As I previously said, this nature group would focus on learning more about Indigenous connection to the land. Therefore, its main impact is education. This education can lead to a more in-depth understanding of Indigenous cultures and thereby build cross-cultural connections. Education and understanding can also lead to and promote reconciliation.
Hello, my name is Caden Lauren. I live on Treaty 1 territory where I attend the University of Winnipeg. I'm currently pursuing a double major in criminal justice and Indigenous studies, and I'm also the youth representative on the board of directors at the Manitoba Inuit Association. I've come to understand reconciliation, an attempt to understand reconciliation as an ongoing partnership or relationship between two or more parties, and in our case, that is between Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples. And so this relationship must be built on a foundation of mutual respect for the other, which extends to their language and culture, and there has to be an equal power or relation between the two. Moreover, efforts to improve this relationship over time by tending to the evolving interests and needs of the other must also be measurable in some capacity to ensure that there is accountability. And so my project will only take place in my local community of Winnipeg, Manitoba. However, to reach larger audiences in the future, online formats may be an option. And so my project relates to education, specifically trying to prioritize the well-being of the student. And I hope to achieve this by offering holistic ways of trying to put the student at the center of their learning experience. One of many ideas I currently have is trying to reimagine our responses to what may be considered deviant behavior or rule breaking. So instead of punitive or reactive responses, I think it would be beneficial to explore restorative and proactive practices, which will also appreciate external factors which may influence this sort of behavior in the school setting. And so my work will be heavily influenced by an Indigenous scholar named Dr. Angela James, who has offered us a very unique idea for us to try to understand and conceptualize for ourselves, and that is what a capable person is and the shaping influences of one. Similarly, the government of Nunavut in 2007 released their IQ principles, which may be found within their educational framework on what an able human being is. And so both of these resources or ideas are distinct from one another, but many similarities can be drawn from both as well. And so what I hope to get out of this project is obviously change, and change is not easy. I hope to allow Indigenous cultures, languages, and pedagogies to be used and appreciated and valued within the K-12 education system. Not only do I think that this would greatly benefit non-Indigenous students to be exposed to languages, cultures that they may not have been exposed to previously, but I think that this is especially important for Indigenous students because it will allow them to see themselves, their cultures and practices or customs to be reflected in their curriculum or their school setting. And that is why I am passionate about this work, because I believe that not every student has been able to say that they were at the center of their learning experience. And I think that this will be a stepping stone in allowing that to happen. Thank you.
My reconciliACTION idea is something that I have already done in my community but would like to add more on more public sidewalks. The entire sidewalk is orange and there are white feathers that represent Every Child Matters, as well as a medicine wheel that represents all the Indigenous people in the community and surrounding areas.
This project is targeted to everyone, children, teenagers, and adults. I believe that doing this will help bring awareness to the Indigenous community. This project will also allow the community members to get involved. I love getting involved and promoting Indigenous culture in my own community. To me, reconciliation means a mutually respectful relationship between Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples. Recognizing the past, present, and future is the first step in reconciliation. Together to attain equality, respect, and trust is a continuous process that requires our shared commitment. Painting the public sidewalk will incorporate the entire community, which will keep everyone involved and interested. This will make the project open doors to other opportunities that could take place in my community. Everyone in the community can be involved in this project and has no age limits, and you do not need to identify as Indigenous. The materials we'll need are orange, white, yellow, black, and red paint, as well as paintbrushes and paint rollers, and of course, volunteers. This project will bring a positive impact to our small community. There is a stigma around the Indigenous community here in my small town because we are so small. I believe that getting community members of all ages will help break this stigma. It will show that we are all united and are all willing to help one another. This project will be long-lasting. Therefore, the community members will be able to look at the painting when walking or driving down the street. With the painting being situated in front of the library, it will show that the library is welcoming to the Indigenous members of the community, as well as representing a safe space for them. This sidewalk will also be the only sort of representation of Indigenous culture in my community, so I believe this may be the start of something great.
Annie, hello, bonjour. I'm Cooper Yesno. I'm an Anishinaabe man from Yamitung First Nation, or Fort Hope. I currently live in Thunder Bay, Ontario, which is in the Robertson Superior 1850 Treaty area, and I'm here to discuss my reconciliACTION. What is reconciliACTION and what does it mean to me? To me, reconciliACTION is a method of achieving reconciliation towards Indigenous peoples by physically doing something, whether it be organizing an event in honor or commemoration of Indigenous peoples throughout their triumphs and achievements throughout their long history. For my reconciliACTION, my target audience will be my school and the students that attend that school. My reconciliACTION idea is to organize a week-long event during the month of October to commemorate Gord Downey and the Chani Wenjuk Fund and to honor Orange Shirt Day. I would incorporate multiple different events throughout the week. However, I want to pull from my school community as well as the Indigenous students that attend my school. I'm 100% certain I would incorporate a walk in honor of Chani Wenjuk, and I'm 100% certain that my school would allocate resources to me to make this event happen. To be a little more specific on the materials that I will be needing throughout this project, it'll differ between ideas that I receive from the community and my school, but I hope that every day there's a specific area or idea or event that can take place. As for example, one day there could be the walk, another day there could be Orange Shirt Day, another day there could be a booth explaining what the Gord Downey Fund is. Another day on the announcements they could list a quote or an idea from a famous Indigenous author, and multiple more. My school is a very accepting and well educated in reconciliation, and I believe there would be no problem in making this event happen. The intended impact of this project is to better educate the students of my school about Indigenous people and better educate the youth about the trauma so many children their age went through at residential schools. I also want to make this project fun and inclusive to not only Indigenous students at my school, but also the entire school community, as I think it'll be a very fun event which everyone will enjoy. I would just like to say miigwech, thank you, merci to the Gord Downey Chani Wenjuk Fund for allowing me to enter this project and further deepen my knowledge of Indigenous peoples of Canada.